NBA front office show Thursday edition. How are we a week away from Thanksgiving now? I don't know, but we've got plenty of NBA news to talk about. And I'll tell you one guy who's not super thankful right now. Or I guess maybe he is, depending on what he was expecting. Draymond Green suspended for 5 games. Keith, I thought I was going to be at the high end of the spectrum when I said 3 games. Draymond suspended for 5 games for putting Rudy Gobert in a chokehold and trying to leave the building with him. Um, what what are your thoughts on the NBA ultimately saying, "Hey, past history, man," in terms of Draymond Green getting a 5 game suspension for this?
Yeah, it completely makes sense when you get to that point of the NBA is referencing your past bad actions. You're probably going to get dinged, and this is just the NBA basically saying, "Hey, no, we're done with your nonsense." Now, I've seen the people say, "Why not 10? Why not 15? Why not 20?" Well, there's a line. There's only no one got hurt from this. No one was injured. It really was. It was unacceptable, and there's no
Mhm.
need for it. But they're not going to go crazy with suspending a player here. My guess is the league also has a sense of, all right, we don't need to go too far on the suspension, because if we go too far, then the NBPA is going to get involved. Now headed up by Draymond Green's former teammate Andre Iguodala, as Tamika Tremaglio left the NBPA. Sorry, I got an appearance by the dogs here. So we'll see, where this ultimately lands. I don't know. You know, I mean, we're not going to see where it lands. We know it lands at 5 games. I don't think the MBPA gets involved. I think it'll be all right. This is what it is, and we move on to the next thing. With this Warriors, though, no Draymond. Steph's going to be out for a little bit as well. This isn't great for them.
No, no, bad spot. And again, the Western Conference, we've been talking about how compact it's going to be and how injuries, absences, I guess in this case, suspensions. We talk about John Morant's suspension, now Draymond Green. They could make a big impact by the end of the year. It could be in March, late March, early April. We're looking back and saying, hey, remember those 5 games Draymond missed? Those are really hurting now when the standings are, we're laser focused on them and they're switching every single day. The stuff that's happening right now could really, really matter. So 5 games Draymond Green is going to miss for the Golden State Warriors, who are already shorthanded, and this will be tough sledding for them for a little bit.
Yeah, not as it may seem. Steph Curry is obviously the machine there, right? He makes
Sure.
everything go for that team, but they at least have Chris Paul to replace him. They don't have a Draymond Green replacement on the roster. Anybody who's good. That said, they've played a lot of games over the years without Draymond for various reasons, injuries and rest and nonsense and suspensions. So they're they should be able to get through this. I haven't looked at what their schedule looks like at all. I know he's going to miss the in-season tournament game. That's going to be tough to get through, because now we're into the second, third games for some of these teams, and you fall a couple games back in that, you're probably out, and you're probably not
Mhm.
even going through as a wild card. So we'll see what that looks like as well.
Keith, the Warriors' unscheduled nonsense is much less fun than our
I
unscheduled
know, right?
nonsense on this
Yeah.
show.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, come on now. You can talk about Marvel or other silly stuff. You don't have to be choking dudes out.
Right, that's right. Okay, let's get to some good news though, and I think this is good news. Not good news that it happened, but I think Kelly Oubre could be back in 2 weeks. The dude got hit by a car, right? It was
Yeah.
broken ribs, all this stuff. For him, I am pleasantly surprised that 2 weeks is the number that's being put out there. I was fearful that it was going to be considerably longer than that. So it getting out there that he could be back again, not that he's going to be, but could be back in 2 weeks. I think that's a fantastic sign.
Yeah. This was Woj reported yesterday. This was ahead of the Boston Philadelphia game on Wednesday. Woj's reporting was, yeah, 2 weeks, maybe 2+ weeks, but somewhere, at the beginning, end of November to the beginning part of December. That's fantastic news considering everything we heard early on. I know there's some stuff out there where some people are like, the police haven't been able to find video of it and all that, but that seems to be being explained by a combination of two things. When they talked to him, he was heavily medicated, and
Mm,
he was also in a spot where he's new to the city. And he was like, I think it was this street. So I don't think there's anything nefarious going on here, as but it's the internet. So people have to, they go to the craziest possible thing first rather than the simplest explanation, which always, tickles the heart, right? With that. But it's, here we are with this. But yeah, good news. Sounds like he'll be back. And Philly needs him. That is a spot where they don't have a ton of depth. As far as players, Nick Batum is out right now too. They've tried Marcus Morris, and boy, does he look like he doesn't have anything left. Each game he plays, he comes in, he plays like 4 to 8 minutes, and they lose those minutes by double digits, which is really bad for them. So hopefully they get Oubre back in the fold here, and he's able to either start like he was before he got hurt, or kind of become the leader off the bench as far as leading those bench units as a scorer.
So this is, the situation where I think there's just too many true crime documentaries and stuff
Right.
that are out there in the world, and that's creating, everybody's looking for, the secret, whatever you want to call it, the conspiracy here that's going on. But
Also,
again,
how
bottom
does
line,
TMZ get all this footage? Like, they've footage of his doorbell camera. Like, how do you get that? Like, did he send that? Yeah, obviously, yes, that's the real reason. But like, that's crazy. Like, it makes me wonder, like, what do they have footage on me doing? It'd probably be very, very embarrassing. Or actually not even embarrassing. It'd be like very like
it would be
really,
mundane. Keith
yeah,
Keith
this
is,
dude,
Keith is waving at the termite guy
right?
that
Yeah,
visits his
that's what it was
house.
earlier today. But it'd probably be a lot of like, this guy watches a lot of basketball. Like, why is he watching the G League again? Like, what is going on? It's a Saturday night. Go out and do something. Like, why are you doing this? But that's what I do.
Oh boy. Well, at least you can know you're not going to get any trouble that way. Kelly Oubre back in 2 weeks. That would be great news. And again, yeah, that was a little weird that like his doorbell camera footage was out there. That makes you think that, I mean, had to come from him, right? Or at least obviously
I
somebody
imagine. Yeah.
in his house. But anyway, okay. Let's let's move on to this. The Clippers make a couple of moves. They officially signed Josh Primo. We know they had to sign another player to a 14th contract. I wonder though, had they been able to had this Daniel Tice buyout gotten done, what, a day sooner? Are they signing Josh Primo to this contract?
Yeah, I kind of wondered that too. I think this could be one of those where it was, all right, we got to do this. We have interest in working with this kid. Let's have him in the fold. Let's
Mm-hmm.
make this a thing. And then you get into the point with Mason Plumlee gets hurt, and then it's like, all right, we've got to fill for him now too. So we're gonna end up filling the 15th spot when we probably could have just killed two birds with one stone, signed Tyson, gone forward. But Josh Primo's contract this year fully guaranteed for the rest of the season. So this was not just a, all right, we're gonna do this to kind of get by move. This was, he's in the fold now, and he got $1 million guaranteed for next year. It is 2 years at the veteran minimum for Primo, but getting $1 million guaranteed next year signals he's at least semi part of things for the Clippers, moving forward. Now the plan is, I think I might have talked about this on yesterday's show. Multiple Clippers reporters have reported that he will be staying in the G League, even though he's on the active roster. They're going to continue to work him through the G League as they rehab him personally and professionally, and get him back fully up to speed game wise. So probably won't see Josh Primo in the NBA very much this season, but he's in the fold. And then Daniel Tice, interesting with his bio, kind of what I speculated on. He back about 2.2 million in his bio from the Pacers,
Mm-hmm.
and that's roughly the prorated amount that he'll sign for with the Clippers. And that's becoming more and more of a trend with a lot of these guys, unless they're truly trying, like, I just need my freedom to get out of here.
Yeah.
They'll give back a whole bunch. It tends to be, all right, just give me what I'll make up anyway, and we'll call it good. For the Pacers, though, this pushes them up to be able to create about 9.7 million in cap space. Doesn't necessarily mean anything right now. There's not any free agents of value to go sign, but that could be helpful in trades and the like if they want to get into the trade market for somebody that's almost $10 million that they can take back extra that they wouldn't have had otherwise.
Right, and which is certainly, something that could become a factor as this Pacers team has been a pleasant surprise this season. If they are, right in the thick of things in the East come, beginning of February, that could put them in prime position to make a move that's going to push them up. I don't know if I want to say up into the upper echelon or anything like that, but solidify their standing, and then we'll see what happens. So this does create some flexibility. People look at it and say, well, why would the Pacers just let Daniel Tice go? Why not trade him for something? Well, it's not like they get nothing. They do get this added flexibility here by making this move. And then Tice, as you mentioned, he really doesn't lose anything. He gets to go to a different city where he's actually going to play. So it's and he doesn't lose any money or anything like that. So it's an easy decision here for a guy like Tice to say, yeah, let's go, let's do this. I'd like to play.
I stopped short of saying on a title contender because we'll
Yeah.
see. With that, but yeah, but he gets to go there. And Tice, we've talked about it. He can still play. He showed that over the summer. He just wasn't part of the mix for the Pacers. I did want to say, did you see a couple of the betting markets? Zach LaVine had
Uh,
his next team odds. The Pacers had the third highest odds.
really?
Yeah. I want to say
Wow.
it was like the Lakers, Heat, and Sixers were all in there, but the Pacers were in that mix too, which is very,
Probably
very interesting.
because they've got a big contract, well, big-ish contract
And
in
Buddy
Buddy
Hield.
Hield that you can
Yeah.
stack up in a deal, and because they're kind of a team on the rise. And you're also figure if you're the Pacers, you're going to struggle a little bit on the free agent market. And maybe I'm
Mhm.
being kind when I say a little bit. It's not going to be easy to get free agents to
Sure.
come to Indiana. So if you're going to try to go make a big move to land somebody, you're going to have to do it on the trade market. So it makes sense where the Pacers may want to be a little bit aggressive out there in a trade. But I'm surprised that they're third. Then again, when these lines get set, usually somebody knows something. So maybe
Mhm.
something to keep an
And
eye
they're
on.
not a public team, right? Like we've talked about, the Lakers could roll me and you out as two of the members of the starting five, and they're still going to have an over under of like 45 wins because they're the most public
Yeah.
team in the league. The Pacers aren't a public team. People aren't just jumping on Pacers bets left and right. So it piqued my interest a little bit to say, that's something we're going to keep an eye on. And they're a team. I know we did a kind of a crossover with Lakers Nation talking about how could they get involved on Zach LaVine.
Hmm.
Talked about, well, for them it probably means you got to have some patience because of trade restrictions and the like. Pacers don't have a lot of that going on, so they could be a team if this turns into we got to move them, we got to move them now, they could get involved much faster than a lot of other teams could. So
Yeah.
it's at least now something I'm going to be monitoring.
All right. Last thing we've got for today, and it's a little peculiar. Peculiar. The Hornets issued a statement on Miles Bridges, which isn't the norm when you've got a player that's returning to issue a specific statement. But this is what the Hornets had to say. They said Miles Bridges is eligible to return to our active roster on Friday after serving his NBA suspension. We are comfortable with Miles returning to play based on our current understanding of the facts of the recent allegations and remain in contact with the NBA as that matter proceeds through the court process. So I would imagine this is just trying to respond to people out there saying, well, there's new allegations now. Why is this guy stepping on the floor? The Hornets are saying, hey, it's not like we don't know about it. We know, we're comfortable moving forward. And it's not just us. We're talking to the NBA and getting their take on everything. And we're still, moving forward with this.
Yeah, and I think you and I try to be very balanced with, hey, some of this stuff you got to let the legal process play out, and
Yeah.
innocent until proven guilty, and all that. It's just a challenge when you get the second set of allegations on top of what was already kind of handled through the
Yeah.
legal process. That's never good. Now, maybe it does come out that hey, it's not what it was reported to be. He wasn't involved. I don't know. We'll find out. It's just weird that the Hornets are acknowledging, all right, this is not a great look, right? That's pretty much what this says is we understand there are concerns from our fans, from general fans,
Hmm.
from a lot of people on we're bringing Miles Bridges back into the fold here. And so we're going to put out a statement basically saying, but we've done what we need to do. We feel good about putting him on the floor. There's a lot of replies to that tweet. And to their credit, they did not turn off replies, which a lot of times organizations
Yeah.
do, which is funny because then it just turns into quote tweets instead. But there's a lot of replies and quote tweets that are things along the lines of we're comfortable knowing our team stinks and we need better players on the floor and
Right.
we have injuries and all that. You hope that that's not part of it, but I mean, there could be some of that too in here. So I'm trying to be more open-minded that all right, maybe it isn't as bad as it looks, but
Right.
I don't know. It's just it feels very off. Something doesn't feel right about it. So we're gonna see, but he is gonna play, and off we go with him as part of the Hornets again. So we'll see what that looks like.
So I think there's two possibilities here, right? It's either number one, it is as bad as it looks, and the Hornets know, because clearly they know more than we do about this situation. It's as bad as it looks, and the Hornets know, and it's not a great look for them, and they're just saying we're playing the guy, right? Or it's not as bad as it looks. The Hornets know that, and they're moving forward and saying, "Hey, look, we're understanding what's going on here," but while knowing that eventually, once things comes out, then they won't look quite so bad. So I think it's one of those two things. No matter what, the Hornets know more than just you and I know about this
Absolutely.
situation, as does the NBA in terms of what's going on here. The question is it really as bad as it looks or not? And I'm hoping, obviously, it's not as bad as it looks, and that it's there was some kind of misunderstanding or something, because otherwise it just kind of looks gross.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I have nothing to add. You said it all. That's it.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got a little bit of a shorter show than typical today. Keith, this is funny because usually, just pull back the curtains. You and I will jump on and we'll say, oh, we've got a shorter show, probably be like 20 minutes or something. And it's 40 minutes plus 50 minutes usually. Once we get talking NBA, we do not do short shows. And here we are. And I think we covered everything, and we're under 20 minutes. I'm proud of us.
I'm proud of us too. I mean, we didn't even fill with a whole lot of nonsense or anything, and part of that is driven by how we both have hard outs today. We've got
Yeah.
other things we have to get to, but we had a little bit more time than we could have goofed around. But there's not a lot to goof around on right now, and it is a quieter day in the NBA. There's only 2 games tonight, so that's
Mm-hmm.
probably part of it as well. But yeah, it's a little weird. But tomorrow, Front Office Friday, we'll have a little bit of fun with everybody. Make sure you join us. Come in. It'll probably be noon 1 Eastern. We'll figure that out tomorrow, and
Maybe a
we'll tweak
little.
that out.
I got to talk to you about that. We need to go a little
Okay.
bit earlier tomorrow,
All
but
right, all right.
but we'll figure
Earlier,
that out.
even better. You can if you're on the West Coast, you wake up and have breakfast with us and listen
That's
to us.
right.
Get silly about the NBA. If you're on the East Coast, take an early lunch and call it good. And then then you've earned it. Take the rest of the day off. Relax, watch
I
Front
will
Office
write a note to your
Friday,
boss.
and go home. Yeah, we'll cover for you. Let us know. We can we'll sign you into the systems to make sure you're there and clock you out on
Yeah,
time.
no problem. We've got you covered. We've got you covered here on the NBA Front Office Show. Speaking of which, since we've got you covered, make sure you've got us covered. Hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel, like the video as well, and then over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we sure would love that 5-star review. We would definitely appreciate that. All right, everybody. That's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow for Front Office Friday live. Till then, see ya and stay safe.